What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Alright, this story's called Karening in the 70s. Disclaimer, I'm new to Reddit, although for years I've listened to r/stories being read on YouTube, but I never considered contributing anything until now. Before I begin, I'd like to mention that this story didn't actually happen to me, but it happened to my parents several years before I was even born. They have recounted this story to me many times when I was an adolescent in just the exact same manner as I am retelling it to you now. They told it to you in a Reddit post on IDontWorkHereLady? Come on, be original. In the 1970s, long and bushy was the trendy, fashionable way people wore their hair. Shoulder length, chest length, even booty length. If you were alive in the 70s, you had long or bushy hair. Even the men wore their hair like this, and my father was no exception. His hair was extremely bushy and jet black as the ace of spades, with thick sideburns and a beard to match. Even though he was of Irish heritage, he didn't look Irish at all. Under intense sunlight, he would tan very easily as well, making his skin appear very dark. Hey, they have dark Irish people. In 1972, my parents moved to Tucson. That's in Arizona for those of you who slept through your geography course. The desert sun was extremely intense, and my father often had dark tan skin as a result. One sunny Saturday, my parents decided to take a driving trip across the border. That's the Mexican border for our non-North American readers. My mother is a shopaholic. She loves spending money she doesn't have to buy things she doesn't need to impress people she doesn't like. On this particular occasion, she wanted to purchase some handmade Mexican muñecas traídas, small hand-woven dolls. So they traveled to a tiny border town just on the other side of the Rio Grande, and found an old-style white adobe brick open front shop, which my mother confidently entered. Now, my father, not being very fond of tourist shopping, opted to wait outside while my mother entered the shop. He spotted a small wooden stool that was set outside next to the shop to rest his rear end on and enjoy the scenery. A few moments later, an American Karen approached my father, carrying two colorful guayaberas. Guayaberas? I don't know that word. Would it be? Is the G pronounced? Because a lot of time the G isn't pronounced, so is it like guayaberas? 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 I don't know. I like to envision in my mind that she was even sporting the signature Karen hairdo years before it had even been invented. Perdóname? She spoke in very broken Spanish in terrible American pronunciation. ¿Cuánto cuestas, por favor? Which means, pardon me, how much are these, please? A bit befuddled, my father turned to her and perfect American English replied, "I'm sorry, I don't work here." To which the Karen stated directly, "Oh my, your English is very good. Have you traveled to the US before?" At this point, she was beginning to sound very racist and condescending, but people didn't call out racism back then like they do now. My father just shrugged it off and declared, "I live in the US." The Karen again didn't quite put two and two together. She was thoroughly under the assumption that my father was Mexican due to his thick black bushy hair and dark tan skin. "Well," she said to him again, "I'm American because I'm from Wisconsin and you're from Mexico. That makes me American and you Mexican. Now I would like to purchase these items, but I need to know how much they are first." At this point, I don't see how my father didn't just slap the sense right into her. Instead, he replied again, a bit more agitated this time, "Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm American just like you are. I live in Tucson. I'm a college professor there." The Karen seemed dumbfounded by this statement. Not sure how to react, she inquired about my legal American father's green card. "Do you realize you need to be an American citizen to live and work in the US legally? If we were in the States right now, I would call INS." "Ma'am, you can call INS all you want," my father retorted. "I am a legal American citizen who lives in America. I don't live or work here. I don't even have any Mexican heritage." At this point, my mother, hearing all the commotion going on outside the shop, decided to walk over to where my father and the Karen were arguing. "Is there a problem here?" my mother inquired. "This Mexican man is trying to tell me that he's a legal American citizen," the Karen snorted. "He is a legal American citizen," my mother declared. "He's my husband. We've been married for 8 months and we both have US passports." My mother exhumed both hers and my father's passports from the cluttered purse and handed them over to the Karen.
"He's not even Mexican,"
my mother said, nearly shouting.
"His grandfather,"
my great-grandfather,
"is from Ireland. He doesn't speak a word of Spanish."
The Karen snatched the passports out of my mother's hand and, with pursed lips, examined both of them thoroughly before resigning herself that they were legal American citizens and did not work at this store. As she handed my parents' passports back to my mother, she stated very directly,
"Well, cut that raggedy mop hair then, if you don't want people to mistake you for Mexican."
The Karen walked off without so much as an apology for being a racist, airheaded piece of sushi. My mother purchased her muñecas, and both my parents returned to their car to begin their journey back home. As they were exiting the small town, they noticed a white car pulled over to the side of the road with smoke billowing out from under the hood. At first, they slowed down to see if the driver needed any assistance, but as they got closer, they realized it was the same Karen who had gotten into an argument with them earlier. My father stepped on the gas and kept right on driving. They didn't stop until they reached Tucson. What if she died? Like, what if through some weird twist of fate, y'all find out that she ended up dying because she, dying of exposure on the side of that road? That'd be messed up. But Jesus. That had to be embarrassing for her, though. Alright, this story's called Once a Bookseller, Always a Bookseller, except to entitled buttholes. This story is a few years old, but still a solid block of what the fuck in my brain. A little long. Characters.
Karen.
Bob. Karen's poor schmuck of a husband. Doesn't do much at all. Blackbeard. Manager. He was there when I worked there and is known for being a no-crap-taking guy. Me. Backstory. I was a bookseller for almost a decade, but left for a high-paying MF 9-to-5. I loved my job. After I left, I still frequented the bookstores in the chain a lot, browsing shelves, checking out new titles, and catching up with old coworkers. The story. I'm in my old store. It's in an area that has access to a number of posh neighborhoods. It's been maybe 3 or 4 years since I left. The staff has gone through its 6th turnover, and only a small handful of employees that I worked with are still there. I'm in my jeans, my university sweatshirt, had my purse over my shoulder, and my cell phone out with earbuds in with bands like Five Finger Death Punch, Die Antwoord, and in this moment lined up in for my ears. Very clearly a customer. There is no uniform here, just business casual clothes with a lanyard that holds a name tag. I'm perusing through the sci-fi fantasy section. I have 2 books selected already, and I'm looking for a new one. My limit is 5 books, or no more than $60. Limits. One of the employees, one that I don't know, comes up to ask if I need any help. I say that I do and tell them that I used to work there, and am looking for a couple more books. I tell him what type of books I like, and he recommends a few good titles. We end up chatting more about the genre in general, about the classic authors, etc. I thank him and he goes on his way, and I'm 2 books richer. I move on to the mystery section, and I picked up an empty basket to put my books in, when I feel it. The finger. That hard few pokes executed by a bony digit tipped with a long acrylic nail. Then the words,
"Excuse me."
And there she is. That dark roots, blonde bobbed hair. The 3/4 yoga pants, matching workout top, pristine white sneakers, wristlet purse, and the latest iPhone. Her husband is a good-looking, tired Ken style of a man, hands in his pockets, taking out an earbud. What?
"That's not how you greet a customer. So rude."
Look who's talking.
"What did you say to me?"
What do you want? And I don't work here, by the way.
"You do. I heard you chatting with that other employee over there. I need this book."
She presented her iPhone that indeed had a picture of a book. "I don't work here, lady. Back the hell up."
"What did you say to me? How dare you? You're required to help me. I'm a paying customer."
"I'm not required to do anything." I turned my back on her and moved further down the aisle, hoping she'd take the hint. Nopes. Instead, she grabs the back of my hoodie and yanks me back. "What the heck is your problem, lady? I don't work here. I'm in jeans and a sweatshirt. I have my purse. I was listening to music for F's sake."
"I know you work here. I've seen you here before working."
"I used to work here years ago, but I don't anymore, so back up."
you're still obligated to help me. It's part of your code.
Say what?
Your code. You have to help me or I'll speak to your manager and get you banned and fined.
I'm staring now at this bleach blonde lunatic, then at her husband with a, is she serious with this crap look? He can't even look at me. Thinking about Reddit here. Fine, do it. I'll get a manager. Let's see who gets in trouble. I flag down an employee and ask for a manager. When they ask why, I tell them we just need a manager. The employee shrugs, gets on their portable store phone, and calls for a manager, who comes over. We'll call him Blackbeard. Hi, what seems to be the problem? Karen, of course, starts her spewing, yammering on about how I insulted her, called her names, and refused to assist her. She plays no tears, just rage. Ma'am, please, there is no need for that kind of language or that level of volume. He turned to me. Miss, can you tell me what happened? I gave him my version, trying to hide my smirk. He's staring at Karen now like she's an idiot. Ma'am, she doesn't work here. I can help you find your book, but you can't go around harassing people, be they employee or customer, even if they used to work here. Karen said some other foul things. Ma'am, you have 3 choices. 1, pipe down and I'll help you out. 2, keep going and I'll have you removed and banned. Or 3, just leave. Your choice. Karen and Blackbeard had a staring match that lasted a good 15 seconds. Karen left with a scowl, and Blackbeard and I shared a small high five. I finished up my shopping, Blackbeard letting me use his employee discount. I went to a restaurant next, ate and read, and as I enjoyed a cheesecake dessert, I wonder what kind of code Karen was talking about, and where the hell she had heard it. The end. The bookseller's code, duh, it's like a sacred thing, and as a former bookseller, you should be ashamed of yourself for not knowing about it. On a real note though, what the hell was her husband up to? God damn, did she cut off his balls or something? Alright, this story's called The Great Museum Fight. Grab a seat, ladies and gents. I'm gonna tell you the story of how I had 2 museums fighting over me. I'm typing on my phone, so apologize if this format is a little wanky. For a little background, I worked as a teacher's aide at a science center from 13 to 17. It was a fun gig, and I got kids and adults interested in whatever I was teaching, due to the fact that I can be extremely animated when I talk. Same here, like look at my little avatar guy. Right next to our science center was a natural history museum. Ours was free to enter, but that one you had to pay for, unless you were an employee of one of the museums. Anyway, on this particular summer Friday, I was 16, and this was around the time a new dinosaur hall had just opened up at the Natural History Museum. So while I waited for my older brother to finish up his shift, we both worked there, I figured I'd go to the dinosaur hall and practice some sketching. While there, and still in uniform, a woman that had to be in her mid-30s came up to me and asked if I could tell her about a specific skeleton she and her kids were looking at. Still being in work mode and loving to talk about anything prehistoric, I happily agreed. As I got into my mojo, more and more people came up to listen to what I had to say, asking questions and laughing at my horrible dino puns. About 20 minutes later, I had about 40 people following me around the animal exhibits and having a ball, until, that is, my brother texted me it was time to bounce. Bidding the group a farewell, I left to enjoy my weekend, not knowing what was about to happen the following week. Turns out a lot of people at the Natural History Museum came up to various managers to say I was an awesome tour guide. So much so, one of the higher-ups had to find out more about me. Once she found out who I was and where I work, she scheduled a meeting with my boss and the CEO of the Science Center. I come in on Tuesday, clock in, and was about to get my day started when I'm called in to see my boss. Walking into her office, I see her, the CEO of the Science Center, and a woman. Wondering what is going on, I ask what's happening here. The woman walks up and shakes my hand and said she was a hiring manager from the Natural History Museum. She was discussing with my boss how much someone like me would be perfect for the Natural History Museum. My boss cut her off to ask me what this was all about. Then it hit me. Last Friday. I then explained to my boss and the CEO what happened on Friday, and then they all had a look of clarity on their faces. The manager from the Natural History Museum was eager to get me on board. However, my boss, in the calmest, slyest manner, said that was never gonna happen. The manager looked at her with silent rage and asked why she thought that. My boss said, 1, we have a contract with him, so he can't just join you, and 2, he's only 16. What I later found out is that the Natural History Museum only hires adults. The manager looked at me with confusion. I look about 3 years older than I am. I think it's the height and mustache. 16 years old with a mustache? Come on. This next part I will never forget. My boss said with the grin that looked like it belonged to the love child and the grin of the Cheshire Cat,
Sorry, manager, but this one's ours.
The manager left in a huff, clearly upset she lost the fight. After we knew she was gone, the CEO was pissing himself laughing. Through tears and gasps, he told me try not to do that again. My boss said I might want to stay away from the Natural History Museum for a while. The manager wasn't the type to give up so easily. And that's how he became a sort of legend amongst the staff and the Science Center. That's badass, man. It must have felt pretty cool because like when I was 16, I was like doing nothing. So it's really cool. It's also really cool that you knew so much about dinosaurs. What's also crazy is the fact that like in 10 years, scientists predict that like everything we know about dinosaurs will be flipped on its head, because there's just so much we don't know. And with new emerging technologies, we'll inevitably, learn some things that we never knew before. And also, Chickenosaurus, it's coming. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.